Welcome, Pewter Report readers, listeners, and viewers to another edition of the Pewter Report postgame podcast, Energized by Celsius. I'm John Ledyard from PewterReport.com on a victory Sunday evening after the Bucs stave off the Bills' amazing comeback attempt, and they achieve victory in overtime on a 58-yard touchdown pass from Tom Brady to Breshad Perriman. With me to talk about and break down this wonderful, awful, exciting, horrifying game Scott Reynolds and Paul Howell, also from Pewter Report. And guys, I'm excited. This was something that had everything, man. We were going in skeptical and griping, you have something to talk about. If you thought this team would blow the doors off the Bills and be awesome the whole time, you have something to hang your hat on. I mean, this has, from every perspective, if you liked the Breshad Perriman move, there's stuff to talk about. If you didn't, there's obviously stuff to talk about. So a real fun one, Scott. And obviously the Bucs coming away victorious allows us to smile, but it almost wasn't that way.
Yeah, it almost got to the point where you were going to win, John. Your prediction was going to come true there.
I forgot about the prediction.
It was really a tale of two halves. It really was. I mean, you look at Tampa Bay just owning the first half and then just not being able to get much done offensively in the second half. I think the Bucs defense wore down. The thing about the running game is any team is susceptible to getting run on if there's enough carries, if there's enough yards, if there's enough time, if the score is what it is, and it's not too far gone. And you saw that. You saw the Bills just really wear down the Buccaneer defense. And I think Shaq Barrett said it best. Maybe it was Shaq after the game. He said, we were expecting them to come out throwing the ball, and they came out running the ball. Now, the crazy thing is the Bills were incredibly inefficient on third down. They were only 2 of 13, completing 15%, or I should say converting 15% of their third downs. The Bucs, meanwhile, were 8 of 16 on third downs for a 50% conversion rate. Most of those were in the first half. They struggled on third downs in the second half. But gosh, 173 yards rushing by the Bills. They averaged 9.1 yards per carry. And a lot of that was, of course, Josh Allen, those quarterback designed runs.
Yeah.
That's the difference really at the NFL level, because you're talking about 11 on 11 at that point in time. So many times it's 10 on 11 when the quarterback turns around and hands the ball off, right? But Josh Allen, 12 carries, 109 yards, averaged 9.1 yards per carry, 23 yards was his longest run. He had the big touchdown to help bring the Bills back. Singletary only had 4 carries, but he had 52 yards on those carries for 29 yards. So they were able to use an effective mix of run and pass in the second half to keep the Bucs defense guessing and off balance. Yeah. And the Bucs just struggled to get off the field.
Yeah, it's crazy. And Paul, I'm going to get your thoughts here in a second, but the Bucs run defense, we're going to talk about it more later in the show because it's kind of a sub note to this game, but the Bucs run defense from nickel and from light boxes becoming such a negative for them because Devin White can't do anything in those situations. Like if he's not protected up front and allowed to run around, it's like an automatic successful run to wherever he is on the field right now because he struggles so much in those situations. So yeah, Bills being able to kind of go in and run the football in the second half. And when the Bucs were in those looks, obviously the Bills, trailing by a lot. So it made it suitable looks, but those are the situations where the Bucs are getting run on the season. Not in base, but not when teams normally run it, but when you're not expecting it. And again, it's not 7-8 yard gains, which you would live with in those spots. It's 25, 30 yard gains. And that's where it gets to be a killer. Paul, you and I were obviously on the live stream. This was the quarterback matchup that people wanted to see in a lot of ways. Brady dominated the first half. Allen dominated the second half. Brady made the play when it mattered most at the end of the game. Made a couple of plays, honestly, when it mattered most at the end of the game. Allen had a shaky first half. Brady had some shaky points in the second half. He missed a couple throws we don't normally see him miss. Obviously had some great plays as well. What were your observations watching these two quarterbacks in this game?
Yeah, so I think you nailed it in terms of, first half being Brady's half, second half being Allen's half. But to me, the biggest change in the second half was the play calling on the Bucs side. Yeah. I don't think they after that masterful performance in the first half, John, we were talking about all the reasons why schematically what the Bucs were doing was so good. That all went out the window in the second half. And I was so ready to just fully hop on the Leftwich train, and because he was doing so much cool stuff. But in the second half, John, there was inexcusable stuff. The biggest example that comes to mind is that deep shot to Godwin off a play action where Brady's rolling out. That's not just because Brady's chucking it deep recklessly. That's the only option he has. That's the only receiver to that side of the field. It's a Godwin deep route, and there are 2 receivers to the other side, and they're doing like a smoke route or something. So there's not even an underneath option in that situation where really the Bucs are just trying to kill the clock. And not to mention all the first down runs unsuccessful. So to me, it was the play calling that changed more from half to half rather than just the players. Obviously, there was execution stuff, but the biggest change was play calling.
Yeah, guys, it's funny because you're good, Scott.
I was going to say, I'm not sure, but maybe, just maybe, after regulation,
ran out of energy.
The Buccaneers went and got themselves some Celsius on the sidelines. I can't say that as a fact because I don't know it. But guys, I know I had a Celsius at 3 o'clock today. That has powered me through this game. It's going to power me all night long as Pewter Report cranks out the coverage, the post-game coverage of this big-time win that gets them to 10-3. John, you've said it all along. Celsius has got no sugar, no preservatives, and what I love about it, guys, is no crash. I crushed the Fuji apple pear earlier today. I like to mix it up between this, the creamsicle, the orange. John, what did you have earlier today?
I got the strawberry guava. I got a little bit left in it. It's sustaining me right now.
There you go. Exactly. If you want to find out where to get Celsius, it's real simple. Go to pewterreport.com and you're reading our post-game coverage. Click on those Celsius banners. Then type in your zip code. They'll pull up right there. Or you can go to Celsius.com, click on the store locator, find where they sell Celsius near you, whether it's at a convenience store, whether it's at a health and fitness store, whether it's at a grocery store. Try the different flavors. Once you find the flavor or flavors, it's going to be more than one. Go to Amazon.com. Then you can click on the subscribe and save. Buy them in bulk. Save money. They'll ship them right to your house. You don't have to even go out and look for it. And that way you don't run out of Celsius. Celsius, proud supporter of the Pewter Report podcast.
Yeah, for sure. And Celsius, obviously great stuff always. But, Paul, I want to come back to your point there because, yeah, I agree with you that play calling, there was a couple play calls in the second half I didn't like. There were also Brady missing a couple throws that he definitely should have made and typically does make. And so that was frustrating too. There was just execution stuff as well. And then the first down runs, you and I talked about those. Like this was, despite the fact that Lenny ended up with 100 yards, like 70 of them came on 2 carries in this game. They were not very efficient on a snap to snap basis running the football. And so there were a lot of, predictable run situations that they ran it in and that they were having success outside of those, I thought, at other points in the game. So that was a concern to me too. But, at the end of the game, let's just talk about the final drive there. I mean, Buffalo, let's just kind of start at the end and work our way backward maybe here. But Buffalo launches this punt. I mean, a 63-yarder. It looked like this Matt Hawk dude for the Bills had maybe won them this game. I mean, what an unreal punt in a huge situation to pin the Bucs deep. The offense had struggled. They had 3 points in the entire second half. They had really only moved the ball truly successfully once. They'd had opportunities like crazy. We talked about 2 from inside the Bills, 40-some. We'll talk about those later as well. But come out and they get that first down on the 3rd and 1. And what was your thoughts there? Because I know over on the Bills side of things, I've already checked Bills Twitter. They're all talking about that call was controversial. To me, they called it on the field that he got the first down. Then I thought the replay showed that he got the first down. It was barely, he just got it, but I thought there was a pretty clear shot down the line that showed him reaching the marker. No reason to overturn that, and I thought they made the right call on the field too.
Are you asking Scott?
Sure, anybody.
Oh,
Go for it, Paul.
Yeah, that was. I thought he was short until we finally got that one angle from the side where you saw Fournette get that one final little push, and I actually then like you pointed out on the live stream, I thought it was actually a really good spot. But I wish they had a better process of doing it. But yeah, that was a tough drive. But all the first down runs, John, we always talk about sequencing, right? I don't think either of us want the Bucs to run less. We just want them to change their frequencies. They're so unbalanced on first down and even more unbalanced on second down. They throw over 80% of the time on second down because they're in second and long so often. Whereas what they did in that first half was set themselves up with short second downs. So then they can do anything. They can run it more often if they're in those short second downs more often, right? Yeah. And that was kind of the big issue in the second half.
Right. 16 third downs in the game. It's like, oh, you'd like to be in a little less of those, obviously.
8 for 16 is great, but just you can't be there 16 times. That's too much.
Yeah, that's right. Because even if you're 50%, which is a great percentage, it's an awesome percentage, half your drives are sustainable. And so, it's still not great. So you got to avoid those situations there. All right, Scott, we talked about the MVP race going into this one. I think we said clearly on the podcast leading up to this game that if Brady has a great game and they get a win against an opponent like Buffalo, then the MVP award pretty much should be locked up. And yeah, there were a couple throws he'd probably like to have back in this game, but overall, obviously a great performance by Brady and a couple of his best throws of the year for sure to Evans in that first half.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think too, it's like, remember when Kyler Murray threw that Hail Mary touchdown against the Bills, ironically, to Hopkins, right? That was replayed on ESPN Sports Center. That was viral on Twitter, and that really got Kyler Murray into the Pro Bowl over Tom Brady because it was such an electric play. I think Brady had one of those signature plays right here, this walk-off touchdown, although it wasn't as maybe dramatic as a Hail Mary touchdown where D-Hop goes up over 2 or 3 guys and grabs it. It still counts as a game-winning walk-off touchdown in overtime against a big-time opponent. Most of the nation watching this game. So, yeah, I think these 3 touchdowns, remember Brady had 1. There was a rushing touchdown, plus a couple of those highlight runs that Brady had, right? He picked up 3 first downs with his legs. So I think this is the type of performance, 363 yards passing, 16 yards rushing, 3 total touchdowns that just catapults him into the MVP lead if he wasn't there already. And certainly a Pro Bowl season for Tom Brady. He deserved it last year with 40 touchdowns, right? And he's knocking on that already with a month's worth of football left.
And this was interesting too, because in this game, going into this game, the Bills had not allowed a 300-yard passer this season. Brady gets 363. He was at over 300 before the Perriman play to end the game. So he gets a 363, 2 touchdowns, scored another on the ground, was 31 of 46, 67% completion rate. He kind of checked all the boxes that you wanted to see from a statistical perspective, which is how those awards are decided, as we all know. And so, is he up to, am I trying to do, is he 36 or 38 touchdowns now this
36 season? Passing touchdowns plus 2 on the ground this year. So he's got 38 total. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And a great super chat here from Brian. This was a season-changing win. I think had the Bucs lost their psyche, would have been damaged for the rest of the season, and the number 1 seed would be all but gone.
I don't know about that. See, I don't know, because the Buccaneers had 2 quote-unquote crushing losses last year, right, to the Rams on Monday Night Football. And that was an NFC game, and then the Chiefs game, right? I mean, they got destroyed in the first quarter.
But weren't they kind of a team finding their way in those games, Scott? Was it a little bit of a different story?
Yeah, but because I don't think this is a psyche-crushing loss for the Buccaneers if they lose at all. I think they still win the NFC South easily. They still have a first-round home playoff game. I think they would have shrugged this off, no big deal. And I think it would have been disappointing, no doubt. I think that they would have certainly learned from this loss, just like Bruce Arians and Tom Brady say. It's always, football is going to teach you lessons. It's more important to learn those lessons after a win than a loss. But I don't think this would have been psyche crushing. I disagree.
Yeah, I see Brian's perspective, but I agree with you. This team's strong mentally. I think they would have been able to rebound, win 4 to close it out, and finish the season with a great record, obviously 14-3. And but or I guess if they would have lost 13-4, but the fact that they were able to win the game is great. I think, Paul, you'll agree with me on this, Paul, is that like we always talk about, like, okay, we're looking at the process of the game, and like the Bucs defense probably not as good as they play in the first half. We've talked about it so much. Like if they aren't getting pressure, if Todd Bowles isn't getting pressure with his blitzes, as soon as that gets figured out, his defense just gets cooked. Like it's the same thing every week, every game. Like it's, teams that don't figure it out all game are like the Bears. And so it's 35-3 at the end of the game, and your defense plays great. But for the most part, if you can figure out what he's doing in terms of pressure, and they obviously did in the second half, then you're definitely looking at a defense that struggles. But offensively, I looked at this game and I thought the Bucs are everything that we thought they could be offensively, even against a great defense. And that was like key for me, because they played some good defenses, honestly. They haven't played many good offenses this year, but they played good defenses this year for sure. And, the Bucs have kind of come out and look good for parts. But this was the best defense they would have faced. All due respect to New England at the beginning of the year, week 4, New England might be the best now, but this was, in my opinion, the best, especially in taking away what the Bucs like to do. And the Bucs just found answers. And I thought the process was pretty good for most of the game. And again, I know we go back to late in the game, I thought the play calling was a problem, but I still do get stuck a little bit on those 2 drives, one from the 42 or one from the 45 after Sherman's interception, one from the 42. Thought they had opportunities to convert in both of those situations, get first downs. They didn't execute in those spots. and left points on the field to come away with no points on 2 drives to start from the 45 or 42. I mean, you come away with even 2 field goals in that spot, that game's probably over, right, Scott? And so you look back at those 2 drives and you say, man, as much as you might gripe about some stuff at the end of the game, those were opportunities lost. And if this team can just do it for 4 quarters, and that's why I just don't know if they can, but man, they even doing it for 2.5 or whatever it ends up being, they still end up with good victories against good teams.
John, we said at halftime of the Pewter game day show that the Bills had the ball to start the second half, and I think it was a little bit deflating and a little bit maybe invigorating, a little bit deflating for the Bucs, a little bit invigorating for the Bills when Richard Sherman gets that interception, right, and they don't cash in on that. I thought that really extended the game for Buffalo, right? I think if they would have got a touchdown there, you go up 31-3. I mean, the dagger is in the Bills. It just is. Yep. But when you sit there and you do the math on it and say, okay, if they can get a touchdown, now it's a 2-touchdown game, and you get the entire second half to kind of chip away at that. At 31-3, it's a lost cause, right? It is. But I think that this game was close because not just because the defense allowed the Bills to come back. I don't think this was on the defense so much as it was on the offense. I think the offense had plenty of opportunities to extend drives, to put more points on the board than they did. This was a game that should have been in the 40s for a Bucs offense, and they didn't get the job done, and it almost cost them.
Yeah, and the Bears up 10-0, by the way, 11:09 left in the second quarter. They just had a nice little end around, go for a touchdown. So obviously Bucs fans watching that one, hopeful for a good result there and hopeful for a Rams victory over the Cardinals tomorrow, put them back in the conversation for the 1 seed. Paul, what do you think of that offense, defense? You and I talked about that a little bit. Do you play the blame game here, or both sides just kind of equally to blame?
Yeah, I don't think it's singular. I think there's plenty of blame on both sides of the ball, and I think Scott would agree. I mean, of course, the offense had opportunities, and there's no excuse for them not executing and finishing them off. But I also want to go back to your point, John, and I kind of want to take it a step further. You're talking about how the offense, they were so good in the first half. And I think overall, it is important to not be biased from what we saw most recently, right? Because of how you have to remember how good they were in the first half as well. And overall, 33 points against the best defense in the NFL statistically. Still an excellent day. We saw a lot of really good process stuff in the first half. So, overall, there's a lot of stuff to be encouraged by. They clearly have answers to any type of coverage. In the first half, they could not play that first half last year. Schematically, they did not have that in their arsenal.
Great point.
To me, I think their biggest issue, John, is kind of game management. And we've seen this with end of half stuff where managing timeouts and stuff like that. But I also think that applies to the entire second half where maybe they're trying to run out the clock too early, right? Where it's a game management issue and that game management style is influencing their play calling.
Right. And I think it's a good point. And real quickly, I'll add this because I know you got to get out of here, Paul, and I want to get your game balls real quick. But I will just say, I think the biggest part of it is not that they didn't score more points, period. I think it's that they didn't score more points given the opportunity. I thought they had 2 golden opportunities to score more points, and that's where it gets a little bit more frustrating. And going 2 for 4 in the red zone, although it's a good red zone defense, but you'd like to see that's their area. That's where they want to finish better. Obviously, first and goal from the 4, they want to finish a drive like that in the end zone, and so there's those little caveats. But I hear what you're saying. 33 points, yeah, you should be able to win games with 33 points. But with this defense, that's where it gets questionable. Paul, your game balls, offense, defense, and if you have a special teamer, because I know you got to get out of here real quickly here, but I want to get your game balls here.
All right, I don't have a special teamers. Offense, I'll go with Mike Evans. Couple of incredible grabs. Yeah. I mean, great timing with him and Brady. They're just totally on the same page. I'm happy that they were able to, hopefully definitively bust that narrative. Evans was just unbelievable today. Over the middle, catching fade balls, any type of play. And on defense, I'm going to have to go back and watch the tape some more for sure. But initially, I'm going with Shaq Barrett. Definitely influenced a lot of plays in that first half, right? He was a monster play after play, not even just like without even necessarily sacking the quarterback, but just a great game by him. And I'm excited to get another look at it properly though and get a better evaluation.
Yeah, it could be crazy, man. We might see Mike Evans not be the 57th ranked receiver on Pro Football Focus this week in the entire league. Maybe we'll see that happen. I don't know. We'll have to find out. But Paul, thank you for jumping in here, giving your insight. Great stuff on the live in-game stream as well. Looking forward to you and I going to get some all 22 videos out there this week. I think show the people this victory. I think they'll be Excited to see that for sure. So thanks for dropping in with us. We appreciate it. Scott, the numbers are up there, man. And defensively, this was the tale of two halves. In the first half, it was shocking how dominant the Bucs defense was. And really, the Bills they had no answers at all to the pressures. I mean, he was bringing the slots and dropping the D tackles and sugar in the A gaps and then dropping those guys out and bringing the nickels. And I mean, it was everything. Like they would overload blitz on one side and Bulls put out all the stops and it just floored Allen in the offensive line for a half. And then in the second half, almost none of it worked and they got shredded on almost every play.
It really was the tale of two halves. And you know, I put this on the offense again for the 3 points, just because this is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense, right? I mean, 3 points and a half is pathetic. It just is. Yeah. And the thing is if you're not gonna continue drives, if you're gonna leave your defense out there, and if you look at the final numbers of the time of possession, you know, it was just about even. But I tell you, John, the Buccaneers were absolutely gassed. I was concerned with the Bills winning the coin toss and getting the ball to start overtime. I was really concerned that they were going to march down the field and kick a field goal or a touchdown because of how the defense was gassed. And listen, it's so different when you're on the field rushing the passer as opposed to running the ball. And I think that the Bills did such a good job of running the ball in the second half that it really stymied the Bucs pass rush. I mean, when I was going back and looking at the fourth quarter rushes, you didn't see Josh Allen getting hit and flustered like he did in the first half. The Bills' offensive line kind of became a bit of a brick wall, and it was because the Bucs pass rushers were just kind of worn out by the time of the fourth quarter. And when you get the ball run on you for 173 yards at 9.1 yards per carry, that's going to happen. The running game is an attrition-based attack. And when you can run it all 4 quarters, and the Bills certainly did that, thanks mostly to those Josh Allen scrambles and design quarterback runs, it takes a toll. And it takes a toll not just with the Bills being able to run the ball, possess the ball, score points, but when the Bills want to throw it like they did at the end, there just wasn't a pass rush. And you saw the Devin Whites and the Shaq Barretts who lit up Allen for 3 sacks combined in the first half, just not get home in the second half.
Yeah, for sure. And I want to get to some people asking about the Mike Evans thing. No, I'm dead serious. He's actually ranked 58th going into this game, 58th. So behind Corey Davis, Cedric Wilson, Quez Watkins, Sammy Watkins, Laquan Treadwell. Anyway, I digress.
Tony Montana, greetings from Russia
Tony Montana.
With a $1,000 ruble.
Yes, we appreciate it. Great stuff, Tony Montana, for sure. Scott, first of all, everybody in the chat right now, there's a ton of people in the chat. Let's get more people in the chat here. So everybody, if you're in the chat, if you're watching the stream right now, please watch us on YouTube if you can, obviously, but hit the thumbs up button, hit the like button on this thing so we can get that boosts our YouTube SEO. And we get a bunch more people in here. So if everybody that's watching right now just hits that thumbs up button, you'll see more people. This will show up on more people's streams that are looking for Bucs and Bills post-game
We appreciate it. It helps our algorithm big time. Thank you.
And we appreciate the super chats as well. That's been absolutely clutch. I want to just touch on your point there. I think you bring up a great point about the Bucs offense. You need to score more points, especially given some of the opportunities that they had. It does feel a little bit silly to be talking about the offense when they're up, 24-3 and up 27-10 with 10 minutes left in the game.
Yeah.
And, yes, they could have done some things better at that point, but you need to win a football game. You're up 27-10. The win probability was 99% in that situation.
There's no doubt.
And so, but I agree with you that the offense should shoulder some blame for that.
And then listen, I'm not letting the defense off the hook.
No,
right? I mean, we didn't see any takeaways in the second half. We didn't see any sacks in the second half.
Right.
But at the same time, when the offense generates that amount of points in the first half, it shows you what they're capable of doing. Right.
Right.
24 points in the first half. And
I have no clue what's
score
going
2 field goals in the second half, and the game's over. You win 30 to 27.
Right. And so you're right that both sides deserve blame. I will say this about Todd Bowles' defense. I just have no clue what that guy's thinking sometimes. Like, you are spot dropping cover 3 defense with a single high safety against the Bills, trying to protect a lead, going after him with 8 guys. They're just like, come on, you don't think they've adjusted? Like, it's the fourth quarter. you're up 17 points. Like, keep the ball in front of you. Like, some of this stuff was just ridiculous. Like, egregiously bad scheme in a lot of these situations. I also can't wait to rewatch this game and figure out who the heck was playing where, because felt like Richard Sherman was in at safety there at the end of a game.
He was, yeah.
What is going on there? Like, nobody was hurt at safety. What? Richard Sherman is the emergency safety. He's never played safety. And you have him in the game? Like,
it was interesting because Andrew Adams did a ton of blitzing this game. Yeah. Right. I mean, he was the strong safety in the box legitimately. I mean, this guy, I think is better as a free safety, playing center field. But obviously, that's Antoine Winfield's role when he's healthy, and he was. But yeah, I mean, I was shocked at how often they blitzed Double-A, and he almost got home a couple times. He had a nice pass breakup on a blitz.
Yeah.
I mean, but
like I said, I love the game plan in the first half. I love being aggressive, but the thing about it is, when you keep doing it when it's not working, when the other team's figured it out, right? Blitzes are only effective if from a mental perspective. Like, if the other team figures them out, you're not going to get home enough. And they're going to have outlets too. The Bills got the ball out quicker in the second half. They made more plays in the short and intermediate areas of the field than they had in the first half. Allen got out of play. And the other part of it was crazy to me, Scott, was running stunts and twists with Vita Vea coming to the edge even at the end of the game on that last drive. Like, Allen is going to get out of the pocket and run on you. Like, so there was egregious things schematically but I will say this: Bulls deserves just as much credit for the first half, which was brilliant because pressure was a constant. Allen had no idea what was coming. He was panicking, and the Sherman interception was a duck. It was created fully by the pressure up front. And when he is getting pressure, when it is hitting, man, the Bucs defense is unbelievable. When it is not, they are probably near the bottom of the league. It is truly, totally dependent on what happens up front.
Yeah, John, I really thought this was almost going to be like the Bucs Super Bowl, right? I mean, it started off that way when they were just hounding Mahomes from the get-go, and they came out hounding Josh Allen from the get-go. But I just, maybe this is a good wake-up call for this team, John. Maybe it's a situation where they, they coasted a little bit. They took the foot off the gas a little bit. I mean, Devin White kind of alluded to that. Maybe he was speaking for himself. I'm sure there were some in there that weren't thinking that, but maybe enough of the players were thinking that they got this game won, that it was easy, and they let this team back in it. They just had some momentary lapses in coverage. They didn't rush the passer well in the second half. They didn't execute swimmingly well, including Tom Brady on the offensive side of the ball, to maintain possession, to keep the chains moving, to put more points on the board.
Yeah, this was just in general a bizarre game. I mean, Bills fans right now, I did not even expect this. I was on the live stream. I just was not on my radar that Bills fans and analysts would come out of this game blaming the officials for the outcome of the game. That wasn't on my radar. I saw a couple calls that could have gone either way for both teams. I mean, there were a couple on Carlton Davis that could have gone either way. There's one that's going around the internet where he's holding Diggs' jersey and stretching away from him, but it doesn't show earlier in that route when Diggs actually shoved him off with one hand, and Davis had to grab the jersey there. Right. So there was both back and forth there. I mean, you think about the Gronkowski shot down the sideline, like that was Dane Jackson was all up in him, like he was grabbing him and everything. And, I mean, I
love when officials are watching the entire play, and they're looking to see, is there balance, right? Mm-hmm. Is there a tug on the jersey, but is there a push off by the wide receiver? Yes. So I'm going to keep the flag in my pocket. I'm going to let him play, right? Like,
and there was some of that on both sides. Like, there really was. Like,
exactly. I thought it was pretty fairly officiated. I really did.
I agree. And the Chris Godwin, the play that almost got me, Scott, was the one that Paul was talking about, actually, that the play action shot to Chris Godwin that when play action Brady rolled out and he missed Godwin deep. Well, it was he didn't miss him. But Godwin got grabbed. Like, he was behind the defense, and the defender, like desperation, grabbed him around the waist. That was the most egregious one I saw, and there was no call. And obviously, that was the result. The reason for the incompletion was because of that penalty. That would have been a huge play. That the game might have ended at that point. So that was probably the biggest obvious missed call I saw. Bills fans are griping that, and I'm normally, like I said after the Cowboys one, I thought that Godwin play was a push off. Now there were calls both ways at the end of the Cowboys game, but I really did not feel like the officials orchestrated the outcome of this game for the Bucs at all. And I know that's going to be a storyline going around, and I'll probably show some plays on social media this week, but I feel like that storyline is way off to me.
Yeah. Speaking of storylines, I predicted 30-27 Buccaneers will win a shootout at the end. It won 33-27. And I won a massive amount of money on my bookie. I hit prop bets like you would not believe. John, I won $60 today.
Wow, you're on a roll lately.
I won $60 friggin' dollars.
I need to just start taking all your advice.
Here's the beauty of it. In overtime, Brady goes over 300. I hit on that. Gronkowski catches a pass. I hit on that. Gronkowski, because he went from 4 catches to 5. He also went from 48 to 62, so he hit the over there. So I won on that. When Gabriel Davis went over 2 catches, I won $23.50. I knew Davis was going to have a huge day. Now, I will say this.
Did he? He had a touchdown.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's huge for him because he's like the fourth receiver.
Right?
Oh,
I got you.
Yeah, but the thing is, if he had more than 1.5 catches, my $5 bet turned into $23.50. Now, my $5 bet, if Gabriel Davis would have had 100 yards and a touchdown in the game, I would have won $330.
Wow.
So I'm glad that Davis didn't go off with the game-winning touchdown, 60 yards, because I think he finished with 40 or something. But yeah, it was a great day for me and my bookie. I was very happy with myself.
That's wild. That's great. Good for you. Yeah, and the Bucs obviously, holding it was weird. I mean, holding Stephon Diggs, the 7 catches for 74 yards. He was the leading receiver for the Bills. Allen threw for 308 yards, but it was really kind of evenly divided up. He also ran for 109 yards. So he was spectacular in the second half after really struggling through the first half, although I don't know how much it was his fault because he was absolutely under siege the entire first half, hard to do anything. But Fournette as well, adding his second 100-yard game of the year. And Scott is putting that $60 right into Muni Financial's hands.
Yes, I will. Absolutely. No doubt.
So we are about
for the mention of our sponsors. That's great.
That's right. Yeah, that's great. We are getting a point. By the way, if you're in the chat and you are or you're watching the stream, make sure you hit the thumbs up, get that like button, and get us your YouTube SEO buzzing a little bit here too. And if you're not subscribed to Pewter Report TV, subscribe. We do this thing all the time. We're on pregame. We do a live in-game stream. We do a post-game podcast. We'll be on tomorrow 4 p.m. for another podcast. We'll be on Wednesday and Thursday as well, 4 p.m. for podcast this week. Yeah, so we've got Victory Monday pods. We got pods all throughout the week, and we got all 22 videos breaking down the Bucs performance as well. We dropped 2 last week. I had one.
Those were awesome. You and John, you and Paul did a fantastic job, John.
Thank you.
So here's the thing too, at 4:15 Eastern time tomorrow, right, 15 minutes into our podcast, we're gonna be doing a roll call where John's gonna be dropping some big time Bucs knowledge to entertain and inform you, and I'm gonna be putting your location up on our live feed here, right, during the podcast. So we did this on Monday. It was a big hit. I think we put up about 30 or 40 of them in about a minute or two.
Yeah.
Not just from Florida, John. Not just from different cities in Florida, right? Not just from different cities in the country. We're talking about different countries around the world. This is a worldwide international podcast. Thanks to you guys out there in Pewter Nation for subscribing, for watching, for listening. So make sure that you're with us here Monday at 4:15 and every Monday at 4:15 throughout the rest of the season. We're doing roll call. So what we do then is at the 4:15 mark, you're going to tell us where you're from. We're going to put it up on the screen and do that for about a minute or two. It's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great time. So make sure you stop in here tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern. That's going to be a great podcast. All right, Scott, we got to get to our game balls on this show as we always do. We'll save a little bit of fodder for Monday's show. And let's talk about our game balls presented by Manscaped here. Your balls will thank you. I don't know if the rest of the Pewter Report crew is jumping in here or not tonight. I don't know.
John, tell us about Manscaped. What can people find?
They can find the Performance Package 4.0, Scott. That's the best part about Manscaped. And let's just talk about what we got here. The ball trimmer is the best part, right? Because if you want to be Manscaped, you got to be clean and smooth all over. And the ball trimmer does this for you, right? And the Performance Package 4.0, it's quiet.
This weed whacker, phenomenal.
Yeah, the weed whacker 4.0. It's waterproof too, so you can take it in the shower. Great stuff. It's got the lights. You can no snags, nothing like that. Nice, clean, comfortable shave with it. And it's got that travel lock too, so you can put it in your bag and not worry about it buzzing and going off as well. You've got the crop preserver and the ball deodorant, which are absolutely clutch. The crop preserver and the crop reviver toner. They're gotta have it, man. Once you start, you're not going to be able to stop doing it. I'm telling you, folks. They're unbelievable. They're clutch items, as good as it gets. So make sure you check those out. And then, of course, you've got the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer as well. I mean, that's the game changer right there. It gets up,
Yeah.
it gets your nose hairs, your ear hairs, all of that stuff. And then you have the travel bag, the shed travel bag,
Yes.
and you've got the Manscaped, the most comfortable boxer briefs in the world. No question about it from Manscaped.
You know what?
So,
I think I called this the Weed Whacker. This is the Lawnmower 4.0. Okay, this
oh,
is
yes, the
this
Lawnmower
has got to
4.0.
have it. Okay, Lawnmower 4.0. This is you got to have this. You just do. It's a game changer. They sent this to us for free because we're promoting the product.
Yep.
I used it and I've not stopped using it. It is a game changer. I would not have purchased this. I'm just being honest. I would not have purchased this if I didn't try it for free. So please, please, please take my word for it. Take John's word for it. It is a game changer. Like, I was a doubter until I used it. And once you do the same thing, you're going to be a believer. If you want to like kind of wade into the Manscaped waters, get this. This is the Weed Whacker. You stick it up your nose, stick it in your ears. It gets rid of the ear hairs, the nose hairs, no snags, no tears, nothing. Like, I'd sit there and pluck these nose hairs out. This thing is the best thing on the market. Now, the best thing about this, John, is not just the fact that you're going to get 20% off using promo code Pewter20 or the free shipping. We've got some Pewter Report t-shirts, so they can still get this stuff out to you by Christmas. We can still get these Pewter Report t-shirts out to you. This is our white one right here. We've got a black one. We've got a pewter one as well. So if you want one of these awesome Pewter Report shirts for Christmas as a gift or for yourself, all you have to do is take advantage of the offer, order at Manscaped, use promo code Pewter20, get the free shipping, 20% off. Then when you get the email receipt, forward that to me at sr@pewterreport.com. sr@pewterreport.com. Let me know what size shirt you want and what color. We'll ship it to you absolutely free. It's a fantastic offer. You're going to make some Buccaneer fans' life awesome for Christmas or for the holidays, maybe even yourself.
Yep, this will be a clutch one, so make sure you do that. And now let's get to our Pewter Report game balls for this one, presented by Manscaped. Your balls will thank you. You want me to go first here, Scott?
Go for it, John.
All right. Offensively, there were a lot of great performances in this game. We don't even talk about the offensive line now. Like, it's like almost a given that they're going to ball out, and they really did for the most part. Bills actually brought a ton of pressure in this game. They tested them. They tested the communication. Not a lot of teams have blitzed the Bucs, but the offensive line played really well. But I'm going to go with Mike Evans as well, just because I think, he had 6 targets in this game. He caught all 6 of them. That's huge for him. I mean, there was a time when efficiency with Mike Evans was the biggest drawback, not just because of drops. There were some drops, but there was also just the fact that he wasn't utilized like every other receiver in the league. Like, most number one receivers get utilized in more than one way. Evans had just an absurd amount of his targets come down the field, like way more than any other number one wide receiver in the league. He was just a vertical shot guy. And to see how much he's developed as an all-around player with Brady as his quarterback, there's just a lot more detail that was needed to be added to his game. And he's developed that. In some ways, I wish he would have had obviously he's produced just fine, but I wish he would have had a quarterback like Brady earlier in his career, because I think we would see a player that was already more complete, but like moving into the slot more the last couple of years and playing more from there and where to be on his routes and when to expect the ball on some of these, but like all that level of detail that Brady brings to the game has helped Evans so much. And he was just outstanding in this game. I mean, 2 of the catches he made in this game were totally game-changing plays on third downs. And so he absolutely deserves the game ball on offense, in my opinion. Defensively, this is where it gets a little bit trickier. Shaq Barrett was a good choice because he had the sack and a half in this game. There were some good things from just about everyone defensively in this game. There were some bad things from just about everyone defensively. I'm going to give it to Antoine Winfield, though. I felt like he influenced the game with some of his pressures, but he was unbelievable and outstanding in run defense as well. There were some missed stops at times up front. He came flying in the gaps and he made stops in the open field that were really impressive. He chopped down Allen on a run that could have been a big gain. So he took good angles as well. Kept the lid on things in the passing game. As much as the Bills may have gotten things going, a lot of it was short to intermediate. There was not the downfield throws. He's had a revolving door next to him at safety, revolving doors at cornerback in front of him. His communication, his maturity as a player, the fact that he just doesn't make mistakes, period. Like, he just doesn't make mistakes, man. It's crazy for a second-year player to like never blow coverages or just
He's
never.
such a
And
solid pro. He really
yeah,
is.
he's just such a good pro. And I
Yeah.
think that it was huge to have him in this game. So I'm going to give the defensive ball to game ball to Antoine Winfield. And I got to add this, Scott, special teams. Grant Stewart was baller. And I know there's another special team I'm going to leave for you because I know you probably wouldn't say it. But Grant Stewart was a baller tonight, man. What a couple tackles on special teams. He brought the energy. He's starting to cement himself as this team's best special teemer this season.
He's like a special teams ace. I think we can say that. Like he really
we knew that was going to happen too, didn't we?
Yes.
He was going to some guys team, just look like it, man.
He was going to make his mark on special teams and coverage, John. You're exactly right. Yeah. So my game ball, and folks, we're going to have JC Allen up next and then Casey Hudson to round out the show. I've got to dip out here, but my game ball on offense, presented by Manscaped, of course, is going to go to Leonard Fournette. I love this. I love how this guy is really churning and burning on the ground now. That was a hell of a touchdown run. He was apparently what they're saying. He was the fastest player on Sunday in terms of hitting a top speed. I don't know what the speed was, but Lenny had some wheels on that touchdown run. So that really got things started. He went over 100 yards again, second time this season where he's had 100 yards. And I just think Fournette has really become that three-down player. This is nothing new, right? I mean, he's been the three-down player all along. But with Giovanni Bernard having a hip injury that I think is somewhat serious, the fact he was carted off, you're going to see a hell of a lot more Fournette from here on out. With no Gio Bernard out there and Ronald Jones not being a factor on third downs, this is going to be the Leonard Fournette show on downs 1, 2, and 3 going forward. So I'm going to give it to Fournette having a big game with a touchdown there. And here's the thing. I would have won $67.50 if Fournette had scored that touchdown because there was a prop bet where if he would have scored 2 touchdowns and 100 yards, I would have hit $67.50 on my $5 bet. So Tom Brady cost me some money there, but that's okay. We'll let that slide. Defensively, it was not a perfect game. I don't know if this guy is ever going to have a perfect game, John. But I like the fact that Devin White didn't miss the sacks today. He had 1.5 sacks, 10 tackles. It wasn't perfect, but it was good enough. Were there some mistakes? Yeah, there were. I saw some live. I'm going to see some. They're probably going to make me cringe a little bit when I go back and watch the tape. But this guy –
that's well said.
But this guy came in with 2 sacks, added another sack and a half. All we wanted to see, John, from Devin White in the second half of the season is some splash plays, right? He's a splashy player, and this should be the staple, right? This should be 2 splash plays a game and at least 10 tackles. And I think he's checking that box. Is he leaving some boxes unchecked? Yes, he is. But he's checking the boxes he needs to check. I hope this guy continues to get better. He needs to get better for the Buccaneers, but he's playing better now than he did in the first half of the season, so we'll give him credit for that. Special team-wise, Pat O'Connor, big number 79, sniffing out the fake punt. What are you doing? What are you doing trying to run a fake on Pat O'Connor? It's not happening. You don't do that to Pat O'Connor. You don't do it. You don't. Pat O'Connor's going to get you, and he did.
You got to know better than that.
Oh, you got to know better, John.
Yeah. God. He and Grant Stewart, man, they've been the special teams aces for this team this season, and both made a bunch of plays today. So great play by Pat O'Connor for sure, no question about it. Those are good game balls right there. It feels good to give them out after a victory instead of a comeback loss at the hands of the Buffalo Bills for sure. So Scott, appreciate you jumping in here and giving your thoughts on all this stuff. Now, JC Allen in the chat, and we got to go back to the game balls for you, JC. But first, I got to ask you, man, I didn't know what you were thinking about that half there because Ross Cockrell was involved in a lot of plays. And so I didn't know if you were enjoying that or how you were.
Yeah. Good old Ross Cockrell, right? Yeah.
He made a couple plays out there today. Not a couple plays.
He didn't get
he almost had a pick. They threw it right to, he was in tight coverage on Cole Beasley. And
how many of those has he had this season?
Yeah, he's had a lot of almost plays for sure. No question. He's a glue guy, but today was tough. He was having a rough go of it out there. I got to rewatch this game, man. Like this game was a blur. Both teams used tempo a lot, and I have no clue what happened in this. I can't wait to the tape. It felt like there was 100 plays in this game, like for each team.
It was long. It felt like the first half kind of went by a little quick, right? And it was like, you know,
well, the
Bucs
end
were
of the half was slow though, right? Because
the end
they
of the
switched
longest 2
possessions so
minutes
many
ever.
times.
It felt like a basketball.
3 possessions in the last minute and a half with all the timeouts being used.
Yeah, it felt like a basketball game. I was, it was like, what's going on here? It's like there's a minute left and it turns in like 10 minutes, and that's what it felt like with the 2 minutes. But you know, it started getting going. You know, I'm right at my gamer. I'm like, all right, I'm good here. I'm good here. Then that second half was just absolutely atrocious. The Bucs did exactly what they needed to do, right? I think if that Aaron snap didn't happen, the offense was probably going to get going. But you saw right after that, they were able to turn it on, get a big lead, limit what the Bills defense does best, and that's really get after you. They got the running game going, and it looked really good. The defense was causing pressure and causing plays, turnover by Richard Sherman. And then I don't know what happened in the second half. If they just sat back and said, "Oh, we got this," and just kind of, you know. That's very uncharacteristic of a Tom Brady team. You got to.
Well, he doesn't play defense, though.
What?
No, I said he doesn't play defense, though. I mean, Bulls tried to get after Allen still, but the blitzes, once they got figured out, it was just a lot of opportunities in coverage for Bills receivers that were pretty wide open. So again, I got to go back and wrap my mind around this game a little bit for sure, because this was absolutely nuts. Let's talk about Breshad Perriman though, JC, because we haven't really talked about that yet on the show. So just crazy arc, right? Okay, Breshad Perriman's been out here for a couple games now. He played 59 snaps in the last game and caught one pass for 5 yards, dropped another one. Like, it was just a nothing performance, and it was like, why is this guy playing 59 snaps? Scotty Miller, Tyler Johnson are out here, and I actually think he played less today. Well, they might have had more overall snaps, but I think he played a lower percentage today, I think, because Tyler Johnson played more in this game. Scotty Miller was inactive. I think everybody in the Pewter Report staff probably disagreed with that decision. I think pretty much all Bucs fans disagreed with that decision. I don't think that the result of this game and how it ended should change that disagreement. By the way, I should preface that right now. I'm getting a lot of credit on Twitter for tweeting before the game. We'll say this about Perriman: pretty much every time in his career, when everyone has been ready to put the last nail in his coffin, he's shown the flashes again. Big opportunity for him today. I get it, but like, I was just commenting on his career. Like, I appreciate the props from people, but I was just commenting on his career up to this point. I would not have bet on Breshad Perriman being a big impact player in this game. And yet there he was at the end of the game for his first catch of the game, the 58-yarder going down the field for the game winner. I mean, I'm not saying it was the right decision to bench Scotty, but Perriman made it. Bruce looked good with that final play at the end.
Well, Bruce he's got these guys that he loves, right? Like Pierre Desir's been playing really good ball. He was a healthy scratch today for D. Delaney. But Rashad Perriman, I mean, he talked about it too in the press conference. He likes the size, he likes his ability to block, and I think that's why he's started the game over Scotty Miller. But yeah, you talk about a career, obviously a hot end in Tampa that he went and made what, $12 million. Right. Do anything. But yeah, crazy arc. And for him to catch that ball, and it's Tom's 700th career touchdown. Crazy, on a crazy walk-off overtime touchdown, 58 yards. And Tom was like, I just caught him out of the corner of my eye. Saw he was open. I was going to Evans, and there you go. There you have it. He just won in a foot race all the way down, scored a touchdown, game over. He's the hero. He's the hero this week. The unlikeliest heroes of all. Right. Sherman with the interception, and then Breshad Perriman with the touchdown to seal the victory.
Yeah, some unlikely heroes in this one for sure. Casey Hudson on the show here. Casey, did you not know you were even on here?
No, I didn't even realize.
Yeah,
I was so involved in JC, like what he was saying. I was like,
that's right.
You go.
Breshad Perriman vibing UCF. We love it. All right.
Oh,
we'll talk about it.
Casey called it in 10 seconds.
Casey, she wrote this week, you all slandered her first article for Pewter Report. She said, listen, just give this guy a little bit more of a chance. Prophetic word.
I was manifesting because I didn't want to embarrass myself. That was a bit of a limb for a first article to go to bat for Rashad Perriman. So that was a challenge. Thank you guys for that one. So I had to make a good point, and then I had to have that point come to life. So I'm really glad Breshad Perriman did me a favor tonight. And
Matt says you called it too, like minutes before.
Okay, no joke, guys, because Matt and I kept chatting in the press box the whole time. The first half, I was like, do you think they break 30 points? Because things just started looking weird. So Matt's like, yeah, they definitely break 30 points. And it didn't happen. Then third quarter, he was like, okay, they'll break 30 here. And then so him and I just kept having these little bets back and forth throughout the game. And then when they got the ball in overtime, I look at Matt and I was like, all I need is a 43-yard touchdown, Breshad Perriman. And he goes, well, it's a lot more than 43 yards, Case. And I was like, okay, Breshad Perriman takes it to the house. And as soon as I say that, Tom Brady throws the ball to Breshad Perriman, and Matt and I are like trying to see the jersey number. And we're like, is that the number? Is that the number? And then somebody goes, Breshad Perriman. And we're like, he's going. And then he gets a touchdown, and we're just start screaming. And you're not allowed to really cheer in the press box, but everybody was freaking out.
Really?
And then I was like, I can't believe I just called that. Breshad Perriman took it to the house.
Oh, man.
So you called it twice.
I got to clip John's recording too. John with one of the best Gene Deckerhoffs I've ever heard, listening to him on the live game pod. Here's at the 10, the touchdown. It was great. I got to record
Brought
that.
the energy.
For calling a long shot. Thanks, Glazer. Look, here's the only thing that I will say why I had a little bit of confidence behind this long shot is because in all reality, a lot of these guys will never get an opportunity to play with a quarterback like Tom Brady in their life. And Leonard Fournette this week also posted like a funny meme about what it's like to catch a ball from Tom Brady. To have all your fingers at the end of the day is an accomplishment. So just imagine Breshad Perriman having so much speed to, match up with Tom Brady's ball, even though he throws a fast ball. That just, I don't know, that takes some time. So I think he was just getting acclimated with Brady's style and Brady's speed and all that other stuff. But you don't catch those kind of balls and become so insignificant with a team like this. Like at that point, retire.
The craziest thing too, we talk about Tom Brady's ball speed. At the age of 44, he's still zipping in there where wide receivers are having trouble catching it. Leonard Fournette, perfect example.
Want to catch a Tom Brady ball
off of his hands. Like, it's just insane the level that this guy is playing at his age.
Yeah, ridiculous. It is. It's absolutely crazy. Charlie with a good point. Still thinks Scotty Miller needs to play more. And I don't think that has to change your priors. It's one catch in the game in an overtime for Perriman. It went 4 quarters without a catch with just one target. And obviously Tyler Johnson had a couple catches, but nobody in the wide receiver 3 spot is making a huge impact right now for the Bucs. That's just the reality. Perriman made a great play when it counted, and the home run plays, that's what you talk about with Scotty Miller. Well, Perriman hadn't made him count, and he made it count in this one, so I give him credit. I don't think it has to change your perspective moving forward. It wasn't that kind of a performance. If you think Miller should play more, Johnson should play more, or Darden, whatever, I don't think it has to change that, but you can guarantee we won't be seeing Scotty Miller next week. I don't think
we talked about this too in the I brought it up in the pregame. When AB comes back in 2 weeks, in 2 weeks, who's the odd guy off the roster? And after listening to Bruce Arians talk about Breshad Perriman and his blocking ability and what he offers as a bigger wide receiver out there, I'm curious to rewatch this game and really have you dive into this game and see how involved Breshad Perriman is blocking on the running plays, to see if that's something that he's going to value more once AB's back over Scotty Miller's speed. It's going to be really interesting how that plays out, how they handle that, or do they go 7 wide receivers? They did it earlier. Do they do it again? Like, that's the question I have.
Yeah, I mean, next week against the Saints is a huge game. Obviously, the Bucs are probably, I'm imagining, I haven't looked, but I think they can win the division if they win that game, unless I'm forgetting something. And so that's obviously going to be a lot on the line. Saints obviously struggling right now, but they did pull out a big victory over the Jets today to snap that losing streak that they were on. It's the Jets, I know.
Victory.
And then the Jets, the Bucs play the Panthers twice in the Jets. The Panthers look pretty lost right now as an organization. They don't know what they are trying to do. It might be PJ Walker time by the time those games happen. And so we'll see. But again, the slate is favorable for the Bucs to finish with several wins to finish. That would be game winning streak, I think, going into the playoffs if they can finish this thing. So obviously that slate looks good, and getting Mike Edwards and Antonio Brown back in the fold, if assuming that they are back in the fold and Antonio Brown isn't cut, will obviously help a lot as well. So there's plenty to look at in this game and be optimistic about moving forward. Also plenty to still be curious about if this team can put it together and do this thing. But you remember 33 points against this defense without Antonio Brown, and what he can add to that team if he does indeed come back. We'll see. So that's something to take into consideration here as well. Okay, let's do it. Let's talk about Manscaped game balls here from JC and from Casey. Let's talk about it first. Let's go, Casey. Why don't you present game ball presented by Manscaped? Why don't you present your game balls here first?
Everyone's already taken my game balls already. Might as well let Casey take them too. Go ahead.
That's right. That's what I thought. Let's put you in the worst situation possible, JC.
Who everybody picked. But okay, so of course,
you can pick whoever you want. It could be a repeat.
My
I
offensive
repeated.
game ball is going to Breshad Perriman because come on. Who
Made
would have thought that I would
man.
be sitting there begging for that to happen, and then it happened. I gotta stick with it. And then just kind of also balancing off of you guys' points. I don't think that he's particularly secured the wide receiver 3 slot. I think it just comes down to what they need in that present moment. A lot of it particularly was supposed to just be who could be the next guy that could present the kind of speed that Antonio Brown presents. And even though Scotty Miller's got a similar build, Rashad Perriman is faster. So I think it's just that acclimation period and then his ability to block as well. So I would be excited to see how much he's contributing blocking. And I really want to see what Coach Arians isn't seeing in Scotty Miller in practice versus Breshad Perriman. But game ball offensively will go to him. For defense, I'm a little torn here. Carlton Davis was all over the place.
He played pretty well, yeah.
He did, I think he did a pretty good job. But as much as he's a bit of an interesting human being, 2 sacks for Devin White and then some. Josh Allen is a beast to bring down. The guy is 6'5", 230-something pounds. He's built like a tight end and runs like a wide receiver, and that's a lot to keep up with. So I guess I got to give it to Devin White for defense today.
Yeah, I understand that one for sure. He did make some plays in this game, no question. That's always going to be a little bit of a roller coaster ride with Devin White, no doubt about that. JC, what do you got so far for your game balls here?
So who's your offensive game ball? I know Scott's was Leonard.
Mine?
Yeah.
Paul and I both chose Mike Evans.
Okay, that puts me in a little bit of a spot here.
You got.
I was going to go Leonard Fournette. I was going to go Leonard Fournette. I said Leonard Fournette wouldn't get more than 60 yards. He goes off and scores 100, gets 107.
Yeah.
But I'm torn here between 2 players because one of them, obviously, he's the GOAT. He's amazing. Yeah, but another one had another consistently amazing game. So I almost want to split this game ball in half for offense, and I'm going to give it to both of these guys.
You can't ride the fence, Casey.
I love to ride the fence.
Aren't you shocked, Casey, that he's riding the fence? Unbelievable.
I'm going to give it to Tom Brady. All right, I'm going to give it to Tom Brady. 700 career touchdown.
Good.
Leads the game-winning drive. He's just Tom Brady does Tom Brady things. All-time completion leader. It's Tom Brady. It's Tom freaking Brady. He's a GOAT. Yeah. He just does amazing things, and you can never be counted out. Even if he plays bad, if the defense plays bad, if the team plays bad, he always gives you at least a shot, and that's exactly what he did. Delivered a perfect strike to Breshad Perriman. Breshad Perriman won in a foot race, touchdown, 700th. He didn't give it away, so props to Perriman for that.
No brick hands.
But I wanted to give it to Godwin, too. I just want to throw a shout-out to Godwin. 10 catches, 105 yards. He's a machine. Over 1,000 yards in the season. He's just an absolute machine.
All right, Matt Matera's in here waiting to get in here, and you're out here taking all the game balls and talking. Leave this guy something. Come on.
Okay, all right. I didn't know Matt was coming in here. He's a later rival. So defense, I wanted to take Antoine Winfield because, everything you said, absolutely. Devin White was my backup. Casey tweeted the game with Devin White got a new pony.
You saw that?
Riding him.
Devin White adopted a new. I said stallion at least. I didn't call it pony because he's a big guy. But Devin White got a new animal in the stables today.
But I'm gonna go with Ross Cockrell. We'll go with Ross Cockrell here.
No,
I'm not. I'm gonna give it to Richard Sherman here. I mean, Richard Sherman comes in, hasn't played. He's in playing a tough spot, comes up with a big pick, had a pass deflection, and also, a good rush, a good blitz on a play as well. Didn't quite get there, but I'm going to give it to Richard Sherman just because kudos to him. We'll give him something.
Yeah, no, for
just
sure.
To clarify, because somebody put it in the comments, I think Shimmy was like, Scotty's faster than Perriman at Casey. Actually, Scotty Miller runs a 4.36. Perriman runs anywhere between a 4.19 and a 4.25. So yes, Perriman is faster.
I need her Golden Knight over her man. Oh my God. Casey's torn.
He's dropping knowledge in
I didn't get these numbers out of anywhere, so I just want them to know. Yes,
right off the top of her head, just boom.
Casey's like, so long, Scotty BP, you're my guy.
Wow, no, you guys know Scotty's my dude.
We know, but dropping the knowledge on the 40s like that, that's impressive stuff. That shut him down real quick in the chat. I will say this: BP's 40 was a lot longer ago than Scotty's, so I don't know what he's running these days. But he looked pretty fast. He looked pretty fast.
They need to make him race at practice.
I would love to see a race, no question about it. I think that would be very entertaining. Both guys certainly burners. Perriman never feels like he's played as fast as Scotty played last year, at least. But you're right. I mean, 40-yard dash. Perriman ran at his pro day. I think Scotty ran at a pro day too. I don't think Scotty was invited to the combine.
Scotty's was a pro day.
Yeah,
it's just crazy because Perriman's slowest time was like Scotty's fastest time too. So
or faster than Perriman. There were some people that had a 4.19 at that pro day. I'll never forget the tweets from that pro day. And we knew he was going first round after that pro day because it was that unreal how fast he was in his body, obviously, but just never obviously materialized into a very good all-around player, but made the play today. So that's what counts. All right. We appreciate both you jumping in here and giving your thoughts and giving your game balls here because that was some good stuff. No question about it. And, it's also some good stuff over at Pin Chasers because, you get a great night of bowling. You get to have food. You get to have fun. You get to have fun with your family a lot of the time. Matt Matera, talk to me about Pin Chasers, man. This is the place to be, isn't it?
That's right. And we have the Pewter Report Bowling League going on right now every Wednesday. And the great thing about Pin Chasers is that they have so many different events going on that there's essentially something that you can go to each night. They got all-you-can-eat pizza for $11.99. They got on Tuesdays, they have all-you-could-bowl for $11.99 and $1 Miller Lights on Thursday. So you can go watch Thursday Night Football and bowl all at the same time. Their restaurant is great. Their grill. They have breakfast food as well, too, that you can have at any time. So it's just a very fun experience for anyone that wants to go with a group of friends or bring their family out. And the owners are Buccaneers fans as well. So you'd be supporting fellow Bucs fans by going to Pin Chasers. They have multiple locations, as you could see on the sign and everything on the podcast right now. And make sure you go to pinchasers.net to reserve a lane or book a party.
Hey, and if you're looking for more opportunities for a nice night out, head on over to Whiskey Wings in Temple Terrace. They've got great wings. They've got a wing night, too. You can check it out, whiskeywings.com. But North 56th Street in Temple Terrace, I'm telling you, this buffalo chicken sandwich is to die for. I had their barbecue sliders last time I was there. So good. So it's a great place to get something to eat. Indoor, outdoor bar. They've got tons of screens. It's a great, clean atmosphere, great service. Whiskey Wings in Temple Terrace, man. I'm telling you, it's an awesome place. I think y'all will love it. If you get a chance to check it out, please do so as well. By the way, right now the Bears and the Packers are in a shootout.
Every time I lift
I'm
writing and I'm doing stuff for Pewter Report, and every time I lift my head up, the score has changed. It's crazy. I don't know what's going on.
The Bears are finding ways to get 24 points in the first half against the Packers, and the Packers just scored in a 4-play 75-yard drive 48 seconds before the half. The Bears are going to have one more chance. I did not expect a shootout in this game at all, but the Packers offense looks like they found their way. Certainly, obviously, Bucs fans pulling for the Bears to come up with the upset here, and they've got some ingredients for it so far with the way this game's unfolded. But let's get to your game balls here, Matt, because I know we want to get out of here and want to get home as well because you're still at the stadium. But Manscaped game balls, your balls will thank you. Presented by Manscaped. What do you got here? Offense, defense? Well, first, actually, give us your game balls, but first tell me you're in the stadium. This is a huge game, right? Regular season game for the Bucs at home against the Bills. A lot of people saw this game when the schedule came out as a Super Bowl preview, and maybe it still is. We don't know. The Bills obviously fall to 7-6. They haven't had a lot of close games go their way, but that's still a freaking good football team with Josh Allen at quarterback. No question about that. But what was the reaction in the stadium when BP scores at the end of the game and throughout the game? I know there was a lot of Bills Mafia there, but they're obviously always going to travel. Were Bucs fans well represented?
Yes. I was actually going into this game because just around town the whole weekend, I saw Bills fans everywhere in different parts of Tampa. So going into it, I was like, this might be like 50-50 Bills fans and Bucs fans. But the Bucs fans did show up and they were making noise. And that's pretty much all you heard for the first half, obviously, because the Bills weren't doing anything. It was a raucous crowd. The sound that everyone was making and going crazy with when Perriman scored the touchdown was just so awesome. And they scored in the end zone, like right where we sit in the press box. So we saw it all down below. It was almost like a giant mosh pit. Players started high-fiving the fans in the back of the end zone, and everyone was like gathering together. So it was a really fun experience to see. And the crowd was live the whole time from beginning to end awesome. for both teams.
Right.
Transitioning to the game balls for offense. JC had mentioned him before, but he had already picked Brady. So the guy I was going to go with originally was Chris Godwin. He's just automatic, 10 receptions, over 100 yards. Again, they love throwing that screen to him, and he's done a great job of taking it up the field. He's a very reliable guy. You can hit him over the middle. You can hit him down the field. He does a little bit of everything for the Bucs offense, and he's versatile as well. So shout out to Chris Godwin. I thought he played great. Defensively, I'm going to assume someone already took Shaq Barrett, or else it would be Shaq, because in big games
they did, but you're welcome to do it.
Yeah, in big games, you need your best pass rusher to show up, and the Bucs, especially in the first half, did a good job of getting to Josh Allen, and they really made Josh Allen work for everything, whether it was scrambling or some of his design run plays. They didn't make life too easy for Josh Allen, but Shaq was, a big part of that in the middle. And then another person I just want to mention as well is I thought Andrew Adams, anytime he was blitzing after the quarterback, I thought he was very solid. He had a pass breakup. He was involved on one of the first or second sacks of the game. And every time he was around the line of scrimmage, he was making plays. So I thought he played very well, too, in a role where obviously the Bucs need someone to step up with Jordan Whitehead out and Mike Edwards suspended. And I thought Andrew Adams played quite well today.
Yeah, no question about it. The Bucs got some people to step up defensively, and obviously it's going to be a key moving forward. We'll see what happens with Jordan Whitehead. He hasn't been placed on IR, so the team obviously optimistic he'll be back. But will it be this week against the Saints? Don't know. But the Bucs 4 games to close it out. The Saints at home next week. A great opportunity to win the NFC South, to move to 11-3, and then you're looking at a 3-game slate with the Panthers, the Jets, and then the Panthers again to finish off the season. 2 struggling teams, getting the Panthers twice, obviously, and so. They'll have their eye on this game, hoping that the Bears can pull it out over the Packers. They'll have an eye on the Rams game, obviously, tomorrow night, hoping that the Rams can beat the Cardinals and allow the Bucs to be able to have a shot at that 1 seed. Obviously, is going to be critical and something that team
still in play.
Yeah, it's still in play, absolutely, and it probably will be in play with the Cardinals' remaining schedule and the Bucs' remaining schedule. It'll probably be in play most of the rest of the way too. So great victory for the Bucs, obviously, in this one. They get to 10-3. They're close to capturing that NFC South crown for the first time in a long time. So It's exciting stuff. Matt, appreciate you jumping in here. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Again, hit that like button, hit that thumbs up before you leave the chat. Let people know, spread the word about the Pewter Report post-game podcast and where you can subscribe, Pewter Report TV as well. We appreciate y'all, and we'll catch y'all tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern, for the Victory Monday podcast here on the Pewter Report TV. And thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in to another edition of the Pewter Report podcast. Out.